Welcome into the Grapevine on a Thursday morning here on the Smooth Breakfast. This is Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. It is 17 minutes past 8 a.m. and I know that you have been waiting for us to dive right into the world of entertainment. That's what we do on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We take a look at the entertainment stories, just all the gossip and everything that you need to know to be up to date with what's happening in the entertainment world. My name is Ayokunmi. Welcome. Welcome once again. Keep up with us on YouTube. Keep up with us on WhatsApp as well. Send us a message and let us know your thoughts on the issues we'll be discussing this morning. The WhatsApp number is 0911 YouTube, you can find us at Smooth 981 FM Lagos, Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Leave your comments in the chat box there. And we love to hear from you. You know that already, but I just need to remind you. Anyways, joining me this morning, it's a full house. It's a Thursday, so the house is always full. Main men with me, one on Zoom or one in the studio. James Silas and, of course, Oris. James, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Lagos. Hi, Ayo. What's happening? Oris, not the Willie King.
No,
Shout
no,
out
no,
to
not
everybody that have been listening since day one.
Yes, sir. Thank you for joining us, James. Oris, what's happening?
yeah, I'm back. And good morning, Lagos. And hi, Ayo.
Good to have you in the studio. Good to have both of you on the show this morning because, like I said, we have to chew on a couple of things this morning. And where do we begin? From here or from here? Let's start. Let's start with Tubaba, who marks 25 years in the music industry. 25 years, man, I feel old already. He marked that with an open letter, and a lot of things were said. He thanked Elon, and who provided the platform for the Plantation Boys to showcase their talent back then. And he said quite a number of things, and it was, I would say, to a degree, a heartfelt letter. But let me just start like this, James. Do you feel that certain people were excluded in that open letter, or did it do justice to encompass, his being in the industry for the past 25 years?
I mean, I don't think you could have been able to mention everybody in that how many paragraph letter. Um, but I don't know. I was checking. I don't know if I saw Ife Omorogbe. I don't know if I saw
He's there,
Joyce.
he's there. If
Okay,
he's
is there,
there.
okay. Did he mention Joyce? Is the Yamo?
No.
Because those were two, Ife and Joyce were the people that started or that kicked off his that is solo career alongside Kennis. So he was very they were there in the picture and then later again they left and then he went back again. So I didn't see Joyce's name there because Joyce was traveled everywhere with him as well, did a lot of things with him. But that's even by the way, I'm sure he couldn't have been able to mention everybody. The truth is that Tuaba is an icon. He's that's big, and so many people would have worked with him along the way. I don't think we're able to mention all their names. I mean, there's even this guy called I think Kaka of back in the days, rough, rugged and raw,
Mm.
and that guy was
Oh,
very
geez.
close with to him, and they like I didn't hear or I didn't see that mentioned. There was also what's his name? This producer. I can't remember his name, but everybody that has followed his music, or some of you will remember that guy. He's actually now abroad. He's no longer in Nigeria, but that was one guy that was always produced a lot of songs for Tubaba. But that's even by the way. Bottom line is that he's grateful. He cannot mention everybody. He's just
Right,
thankful.
right.
And he's much of a big deal, Tubaba.
Um, I guess for me, I think there is one very, very obvious name that's missing there. And it's because, of course, of recent events.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Annie Macaulay.
Mm.
Of course. If you consider an artist, well, at least one who's married, career as something that is done by the family, that's both in terms of like the business family and also like the actual nuclear, whatever family,
Right.
you would have to say that if the separation, I guess divorce, did not happen over the past few years, her name would definitely have been there.
Mm.
Because of course, from the very first, from the moment we knew Two-Face as Two-Face, with that video. She was in that video.
Yes, she was.
And it's certainly obvious that by keeping the homestead steady, she played a part in allowing him to do what he did in terms of in the public eye and like becoming an icon.
Right.
Musically. But it's just crazy because now he's thanking people and she's not going to be there. I guess this is one of the reasons why some of breakups are a little bit hard for certain people because you're thinking about all of the efforts you put in and just at the point where you should probably, I guess, get your flowers because of another event, you don't know, you're not going to be mentioned. So it's a little, yeah, I think while I celebrate the 25 years, because of course, people like us were there from the beginning, listening on the radio and, and being heavily in love with the man's music. I also think of it as a little tragic.
Also,
yeah, just the fact that yes, somebody who I think there was a period over more than a decade where you couldn't think of Two-Face without thinking about the fact that he has a family and the other person that family is Annie Macaulay, and you couldn't think of her without thinking of Two-Face. But now we are all forced to think of them as distinct entities.
Separate.
Yeah, so it's a little. I find I think it's. I don't think it's fair, but then again, it's fair. I just don't think it's not right. But it's okay to quote that Whitney Houston lyric. So yeah, I celebrate of course 25 years. Good on him. But I'm just imagining what is Annie Macaulay thinking right here, right now about about that message.
Yeah, James.
Real quick, what Oris said is very valid. But is it possible that Subaba would have mentioned Annie, but Natata gave him the side eye?
Well, to be fair, in the message, he actually addresses the very first group he mentions because he then gives Eddie Lawani, Nelson Brown, who was his first producer back in the day, and the Kenneth guys, I think it's Kenneth, and Efe Morugbe, special, I guess, paragraph. But the initial one he had put up was to his wife and his family. I think it was to my wife. Let me.
No, don't worry. I know that.
Yeah, exactly. So wait, James, wait, okay. James.
All right.
So he says to my wife, family, friends, colleagues, clients, and fans. Yes, of course, you can be sure that the wife he means there is the new lady in charge.
Always, I know. I'm saying to you that if he had penned Annie Macaulay in that gratitude letter, that is it possible that Natasha gave him the side eye like?
I'm saying, I guess what I'm saying is that I don't think he would make that mistake. I think it's a big mistake to mention her in the
We don't want to rock the boat.
Exactly. You don't want to. I mean, she's technically speaking a new wife. You are not going to be praising everybody. I'm going to give her. I'm going to give Annie special mention. Nope, it's not going to happen.
When the paint has
I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's really a person who is thinking about how his wife is going to feel is not going to mention his ex-wife. That's the truth about it.
Yeah.
So I do not think that she necessarily would have had to give him a side eye. He just would have known what to do that is right in this situation. I guess maybe because this was leading. By the way, this is leading to an event.
Right.
Celebrating it in what's it called? In the hotel in Abuja. What's that big hotel in Abuja?
Transcorp?
Yes, exactly. It says in Transcorp in Abuja. I think on November 15th or 25th. I can't remember the exact dates. But anyway, that's what's leading up to. So I can imagine that on stage, he might be able to mention her. Maybe in person, maybe just maybe, But I don't think that for a letter like this, I don't think he can. I don't think it's a good look. Considering he's trying to build in quotes a new life with this woman, and then mention his ex-wife in a note like this. I don't think it would work.
I get what you mean. Well, whatever it is that goes on in his personal life, musically, Tubaba is a legend, no doubt about that one. I mean, from his days, from his earlier days with Plantation Boys and all, but that face-to-face album, that debut album that he dropped, with back-to-back hits. It was one that
November 14th is the date for his celebration.
Right. That album was on repeats. The CD, I think it scratched that. Anyway.
Oh yeah, I think that in a country where I don't think Afrobeats or Nigerian pop, as I prefer to call it, I don't think we have a lot of albums. I don't think it's up to 15 or 20 in my own view that are classic albums. Two-Face has at least 2. If you stretch, you might want to put Unstoppable, the international edition. But I think the very first 2 Two-Face records are classics. And not many people have even one, but he has at least 2 that you can say certainly these 2 are like classics of Nigerian pop music.
talking about Nigerian pop music or Nigerian music and everything in between, Olamide is in the news as well. His real name is Olamide Benga Adediji. I didn't know that for the longest time.
I didn't know Benga was.
For the longest time,
I know, but
I had no idea. Well, he's one of those individuals that rapped in his indigenous language of Yoruba, and his refusal to conform to rapping in another language, in English to, should I say, get that international recognition and all that. In Nigeria, Olamide he's huge, he's big, there's no doubt about that. But do you think that his decision to stick to his roots kind of had an influence on his international acclaim? And I put that in quotes.
Look, I've been having this discussion for years, because of course at the time Olamide came in, the man of the moment was MI.
Mm.
And in fact, the MI, Banky W, even maybe little, that era, those were mostly people who came back from the West. So there was a lot of Oyibo influences, so to speak, in our music at the time. So Olamide came in, and I don't think Olamide can compete, honestly, with MI on that English rap level. So I really never thought that Olamide had extreme international appeal. There's a language barrier, but it's also I have to say it like this, lack of finesse from early Olamide. Somebody who is singing Ayokunmi has no chance of crossing over. That's the truth. Nobody. Someone who is singing Ayokunmi has absolutely no chance of crossing over to the West. It's not going to happen. And again, rap music, generally speaking, is, weirdly speaking, not a genre that pops in the US from the outside.
Mm.
It's quite rare to have a rapper from a different culture succeed in the US. It's not very common. The guys from UK, maybe, but even that is only shaky. But usually it's difficult for a rapper from a different country to succeed in the US. It's just how it's been. Of course, when I say US, I mean Canada and the US, because of course there's Drake.
There's Drake, yeah.
But generally speaking, it's difficult for that to happen. So I don't think that Olamide ever had that opportunity, to be honest. In fact, when I think about it, Olamide's only started doing that recently. In fact, there's a song from, I think it's from Street OT, his album from, I don't know how many, 7 or 6 years ago now, where he said something about how if they gave him 500K in abroad, it's not enough, but he rather collect 3 million in Ibadan or something. So I guess he kind of knew where he's going to be, I guess, domiciled.
Mm.
And he maximized that, which is good on him. But up until recently, it's maybe around the time he did, what album was that? The album I had, Julie, that's when it started to look to me like Olamide was attempting to cross over. Of course, after Shake's success. But I don't think he ever had the chance of that happening. So I'm happy for him that he realized this and stuck to his guns. But I don't think a person who was his first two albums, Rhapsody, I guess in Yoruba, and I think his voice on YBN was good. Those two albums were never going to cross over. Never. It was never going to happen.
Just because,
yes. The man himself and the music were never going to cross over. So I'm happy for him. He did what's best. In a way, if you think about it, in the, I guess, broadest of terms, Olamide of that era, in terms of his relevance to the scene, is in a way what Portable is today in his own genre. In his own genre.
Right. Okay.
In that both of them have no chance of crossing over. What they can instead do is, I have this niche. How can I maximize this niche?
Focus on that. All right, James, I know you have a couple of thoughts on this, but let's take a very brief breather. When we come back in, you get your thoughts on this one, and we'll continue on the conversation here on the Grapevine. This is the Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1.
Yeah, wicked. I've not heard this before. What about how wicked?
They had no chance of crossing over.
No chance, no way. That's why they were happy to sing local rapper now when that was the thing now. When they had him, Reminisce and what's his name? And Fino, the local rapper, which was like their coming up party, like, okay, we have won this game. But they knew that they have no chance to cross over. It's
Well,
not going to
always,
happen. Sir,
let's just face it.
are you sure you don't want to say? Are you sure you don't want to save this for when we get back on air?
Well, it doesn't matter. I was
Okay.
just going to say that even
Yeah.
MI, who was pretty much very good and did very well in Africa, I would say, did not even cross over at that time, sir.
That's what I'm saying.
You
Rap
understand?
generally is difficult. Then
Yeah.
you now want to
Yes,
rap your
sir.
local language and cross over. It's not going to
Yes,
happen.
sir.
But I think that, in a sense, I think the person around that time that maybe we had a chance was Jesse Jacks because he was more pop in a sense. But I remember there's an interview that MI did where MI said that he was the one who stopped Jesse from attempting to crossover, which I thought was a very. I think Jesse shouldn't have taken that advice. He should have tried because I feel like his
Mm,
sound and just the fact that he's a producer would have meant something. He would have probably given
mm,
him an edge, but he didn't do it. And
what would he have had to lose if he tried?
yeah, but it was his brother that told him to not do it. It was MI. There's an interview with MI where he said on YouTube, where he said that, he told Jesse. Jesse had that thought. He talked to MI, and MI said he shouldn't do it, and then he didn't do it. I feel like that was like, for me, it's kind of one of the what ifs of Nigerian pop music history. What if? What if say, you know what, I ignore MI and let me just even try. You will never know
mm.
now.
Because they all went to the UK, they did that whole thing, Westwood thing. It was a big deal. They were, they had their
Yeah, there's
shot
so
and
funny.
stuff.
People don't realize there's an old interview of Jesse and MI with Wendy Williams from way back.
Yes, sir. A lot, yeah.
Way back.
When
It's
the
not accident time, rather maybe 2 years ago.
MI, when the winner, MI, Jesse Jags, it was more of MI actually. That
No,
interview.
the two of them were in
Well,
that
on
particular
stage,
interview.
yes.
They were all speaking.
And there was
So
also
Wendy,
the late night with what's his name, Jimmy Fallon or something.
no, I don't think they were
The,
well.
this guy was on it. Ginny. Ginny was
With Jimmy
on late
Fallon.
night with Jimmy Fallon. Yeah,
Okay.
it was Ginny.
Yeah,
But
I
it was
didn't
still
realize.
that
I
same
never
time
saw.
where they had the whole Chocolate City, affiliation or Chocolate City reign. Mm.
Well,
But even
okay.
right now, can we say Olamide has now crossed? Has his music crossed?
He has not crossed anything, but it's just attempt because of the Empire deal. Those who are trying to change his sound, but I don't think it's working. But that's my personal
No,
view.
and it's taking too long.
Yeah, look, Olamide's utility to the scene right now is making sure that people can blow. But he doesn't want
Yeah,
to relinquish the power that he has as an artist. That's really where the thing is happening. And
yeah.
and I can understand. Imagine that you are an artist, you are still young, you are not going to start forming background. It's not, yeah, you cannot compete in his brain. But really, that's his most valuable thing to the scene right now, bringing out the Ashakes and the Adekule Golds then.
But I mean, if that is working, and you know that, okay, if you want to do your own thing as an artist, and you know that that crossover thing is not going to happen, why still just say, I will do it by force? I will do it by force.
No,
When
because it's
No,
different because
no.
of the business environment. Empire needs to make that dollars. One of the artists on their roster for Nigeria is Olamide. So they would have to say, bros, come and try. Because that Jolie song, I thought it was an abomination. But I know that there's only one reason why he did it is because he was softening his sound and trying to see whether it's something they would accept outside of the country. It didn't work out, but he had to at least try. And he's still trying even now.
an abomination.
Yeah, I didn't like the song.
Oh, Lord of mercy. Welcome back into the Grapevine on a Thursday morning. Believe me, if you aren't on the YouTube stream, then you definitely will be catching all the interesting behind the scenes conversations that we tend to have when we go on break. And that has been going on right here. My name is Ayokunmi Kekireko. And of course, it has been an interesting morning so far with Oris and, of course, James Silas as well. You can join us on the show. Send your messages in, get your thoughts across to us, 0911 999 0981. YouTube Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Those are the ways you can be a part of the Grapevine this morning. Hey, we love to hear from you each and every single time we get on the show. And we're talking about Olamide before we went on that very brief pause. James, I said I also wanted to get your perspective on the whole, the whole issue of him sticking to his roots and not being bothered about crossing over into the international market and so on and so forth. What's your own perspective on it?
Yeah, I think first of all, Oris has actually, touched a massive part of what could have happened or what it was at that point. And you said something about not wanting to, not like he didn't want to. First of all, the vision at that time would have been different from what's happening right now. I don't think a lot of them had that thought or thought it was even possible. Let's not forget about the streaming platforms. One of the things that
Mm,
connected us to the people abroad or the market abroad became the streaming platforms. We didn't have that before. But at that time, we're talking about CDs here. A lot of Olamide's or most of his albums were released in the hard copy CDs.
Yeah, of course, of course. That was the
So
rap.
that crossover was not even a possibility. Like, how are you going to travel and go and sit abroad? I mean, don't forget that the guys like Mohit back in the day,
mm.
the band and Don Jazzy made that attempt, and in fact, the band wanted to move abroad, sit there, and or whoever it was, this, it wasn't supposed. One of the reasons I think that Mohit had to break up because visions didn't align and possibilities were not seen and so on, you know. But so imagine how the streaming platforms came in and then boom, there was a bridge and we started crossing proper. Even before the same era MI was where MI was where Olamide was, we're talking about crossing and all of that. There was
Yeah.
MI and MI, they I mean he was big in Africa. Even when we say big in Africa, some people will still argue that there was a point because the guys in South Africa were not chilling at all. They saw MI as competition. Everybody they saw it and they did not. They were on their games as well. You know. So crossing over really MI even with English and how good he was, the Chocolate City crew, all of them as good as they were, did not even cross out of Africa. They did a couple of Team Westwood and I mean we're talking back before we came back. MI did some PR with Wendy Williams back in the day. But we don't even know if that episode was shown on mainstream America.
Mainstream American TV.
So, so it's quite
Uh,
complicated. So, but
James, okay.
yeah, go ahead, Oris, if you want to say.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that when people talk about this story is framed as Olamide ignored the, I guess, international market to focus. It's not true. Everybody wants to blow America in America or
Yeah,
abroad. It just did not happen because it
no, it
was
didn't
not going
happen.
to happen. But it was not a case of, it was not a conscious decision for him. I say, hey, look, I don't want to do this. It's not true. It's simply that he couldn't do it. It's not about if they gave it to him, would he take? Of course he would take. The fact of the matter is that he just couldn't do it. And look, it's one of the reasons why we are discussing greatest rappers in Africa. You
mm,
don't mention Olamide. South Africans, Ghanaians will always mention MI. Nasty C, the South African rapper,
yeah.
has given MI props like for years. The guys in Ghana regularly mention MI as being great. But they don't mention Olamide because he's almost invisible to them because, of course, he's rapping in Yoruba, so they don't understand how good he is technically. So I do not believe that, yes, you can say, the man rejected it. It's not true. It
And
just did
Oris,
not happen for him.
talking about language as well, I think that's
Yeah.
another thing that I want to use the word limited someone like Sarkodie. Sarkodie was
So
big in.
Sarkodie, yeah. So, but I think Sarkodie's luck, in a sense, and why we even mentioned him once or twice in this conversation is because he has a very showy style. That double time flow that he does, no matter the language you do it in, is always attractive to most people. That's why he even gets mentioned. Otherwise, he too will be in the situation that Olamide is in. But
And
people mention him a little bit sometimes just because his style is a very flashy rap style.
yeah, we should also add his affiliation to Nigeria because if Nigerians did not like his music or did not even, or even with our people that affiliated with him back then, it wouldn't have. I don't think anybody would have cared that much.
No, no, no. Of course, Nigeria is a huge. We are plenty, and of course, we are practically the champions of African pop music. So, of course, you need to appeal here. You're right. Yes, if it was not the case that is close to us in a sense because of how Ghana is close by, I do not think he'll be in that conversation. But the fact of the matter is that his style is such a flashy style that I sense that everybody who listens to Sarkodie thinks that he's a great rapper just because of how fast he can be. Not many people have that style. Funny enough, Olamide actually can rap incredibly fast. There was a song on Street 80 called Zero
Fast,
Joy,
fast,
where
fast.
it does like double or triple time flow.
Yeah,
That's thing that people don't, that song is slept on, because he didn't have a video for it. But actually, Olamide is an incredibly technically gifted rapper.
But
It's just
only
that, of course, he has done too many pop songs and people forget that.
talking about fast rap and some people not understanding. Shout out to Idris Abdulkarim. Next story,
Please,
please.
please go away. No, Idris was never a great rapper. Please do not bring him in this
Ayo,
conversation.
okay,
James,
Mike.
Idris
Next
was
story.
never.
James, don't start fight too. Don't start fight.
Nah, no, please. That's the battle of mediocre. No, please. You're not going to mention Idris in this conversation.
Let's quickly talk about an update that came from Big Brother Niger, where one of the former housemates, Faith, has received his brand new innocent vehicle that he won shortly before his disqualification from the show, which ended early on in October. That was October 5th. Now, it's reported that despite being sent packing from the house on Thursday, October 2nd, just a few days before the finale, after a clash with fellow housemate Sultana, Faith did not lose his prizes he earned before his exit, and he will retain the vehicle, the car, the innocent car, as one of his gifts. And this got a lot of people talking as to, I mean, he broke the rules, he misbehaved, he got sent out of the house. Why should he then still get the prizes and so on and so forth? James, is that a reasonable assertion?
All right, so I think it's just fair play. I'll say
Is it fair play,
fair
James?
play.
Abba.
No, wait, hold on. First of all, guys, if you watch the show, you understand that Faith was probably one of the most brilliant housemates. However, he had a challenge with his attitude, and which some people would still argue that he was just being human, regardless, because he was probably the smallest guy. He was the smallest guy in that house, and you know how that's it's what's that syndrome? You want to be seen, you want to,
That's one syndrome.
yeah. I mean, I just say it.
Oris, why?
No,
Why?
but guys, I understand the controversy because for some people, but let's even go back to those former ones where they disqualified people. Did they even win anything? Did they get anything before they were disqualified? I don't. You know how laws or rules can evolve over time. You now want to compare it to somebody from the previous edition who was disqualified. You now say, but that person they did not give the person that. But you now check the person did not win anything even before disqualification. So maybe we should also look at it from that perspective. But truly, we've heard before that if you are disqualified, you go home empty-handed.
Right.
However, we've not seen the actual books. We don't know the roots, the whole story. But please, I'm happy that they gave him. I think that boy is brilliant. I think he has a
Well,
lot to offer. Yeah.
James. I mean, as a person who doesn't really watch the show, but saw a few comments online, I've heard that what happens if you get disqualified is you do not you're not entitled to the wins that you had, the stuff you had before the disqualification. So this seems to me to be, I guess, cheating in a way. Honestly,
No,
that's what I think.
oh,
But in terms of, because I don't believe that we are discussing how brilliant he is. That's not in question here. I didn't, to be honest, from the clips I even saw, I don't even think you should have been disqualified. Honestly, that's my belief about this. I don't think you should have been disqualified. But the noise online was too much, and that's why they did what they did. I don't think that's
okay.
fair. But I'm just saying that if he was disqualified and the rules used to say that, hey, you do not get the prizes you win, I don't think they should be giving him the prize. But in terms of his brilliance, he's a doctor. Of course, I assume that the boy is a smart kid. But I don't think that he should be getting this prize if before now they used to say that, hey, if you get disqualified, you don't get anything else. It's not right. I don't think it's right.
I'm
Hmm.
happy he got it. I mean, I
Well,
don't care
it
what.
probably
Oh,
it probably could be it could also be a function of the disqualification happened just a few days before the finale. Maybe that was taken into
And let them
consideration as
tell us now.
well.
I just don't like these things some Nigerian I just entities do where they go against the rules, but they don't tell us a justification for why they're going against it. Just it happened, it happened. I don't think it's right, but welcome to Nigeria, I guess.
Michael on WhatsApp says on Tubaba, ex-wife or not, I feel that she deserves some kind of mention, referring to Annie Macaulay here. I mean, what about his children from her? No mention as well.
No, it's his family, so I guess the kids are there. That's broad category of family.
Was he ever sick and she nursed him back to his feet? Did she ever encourage him in his career? It's just acknowledgement, nothing more, nothing else. She's still part of his legacy. Can you rewrite legacy, or I mean, can you decide I want to write my legacy and this person will be inside?
Yeah, I mean, from that perspective, but part of the legacy of Two Face of everybody who's a public figure is our memories.
Mm.
So there's no way that I'm going to remove Annie from the thought that over, I don't know, 15 or more than almost 20 years, they were together. And in my brain, this is what I know. So that you can't figure out. And there are also videos to document this too. Now the two of them together. So it's difficult to say that you can't rewrite the legacy, but I think from a personal, you can decide whose story you want to remove from your story. That's always something you can do. But the public is the public. We always remember that Two-Face and Annie
Also, guys, look at how we're talking about it right now. Imagine that he mentions Annie Macaulay. That will still again, people will still talk and say, oh, and so let's just allow it, man.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, we always want to talk, so it works perfectly for us. Taya says, nothing for Pedro or Annie in Tuba's success. Truly, in quote, she was nobody in his house. If you know, you know. Circa 2025, Regina Daniels. Olamide is in his own and running it. I only have faith in God. Well, thank you for your message. Thank you.
That's about thank you for thank you. You try, but I don't think that's. I guess it's fair. I mean, I don't know. I feel like Annie would feel really, really bad about this particular thing, but I guess the game is the game is the game. You don't want to ruin your happiness just because you want to give everybody props online.
Yeah.
Just let you. I mean, he does that in public. His wife gives him hell in private. Bros is like, please, I don't think it's what it's. And who's to say that they are in? I don't know. They are currently Two-Face and Annie are in a good place. Although, I mean, I do remember, that's why I'm saying they can maybe do it on stage. I remember that when Jay-Z was getting inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame a few years ago, he mentioned practically everybody who was like a rapper around his time or before his time. Even if, of course, he had beef with some of them. Some of the people he grew up, he kind of came up with, Beanie Sigel and Damon. He mentioned them on stage. You get? But maybe it's not the same thing when it's a romantic partner. Maybe it's not quite the same, which is unfortunate because it almost feels then like, okay, if it's a business thing, it lasts longer. Once it's romantic, it's not quite right, which is why you understand when the US Constitution gives women, okay, you know what, we're going to split that money into, we're going to give your wife half. It's kind of like Bezos and his wife. So I guess when you think about it in that sense, you see why they do that. Because otherwise, you're now stuck with an Annie situation. I don't know how much money or whatever she's gotten from him, but this woman was certainly a huge part of Two-Face that we know today. So yeah, it's unfortunate.
Right. As they say, this life, no balance, as they say in the streets. Anyway, we need to wrap it up. Thank you all so much for all the messages. For 2 days into the grapevine, you are very much appreciated. You also are very much appreciated, Oris, and of course, James. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much for having us. I just want to say shout out to Ice Cream Zamani Panshak. Happy birthday. Today's his birthday.
Oh, okay.
So, James Silas everywhere. You can holler at me. Tell me you're from the grapevine. I'll holler back.
Yeah, and it's catch Oris. Only, of course, online, not on the street.
On the street, so.
Ayo, please, do not give people ideas. And they don't know what I look like, so. Please go away, James. Anyway, but yes, it's catch Oris online. And that's about it.
All right, then. Thank you guys so much. Have a great Thursday. And of course, enjoy the rest of your week. Lagos, it's been real. Thank you all so much for keeping it tuned and, of course, for staying tuned.